Hello, hello, hello. If you're not able to chat, you may have to subscribe to my channel. Sometimes it happens that way. You back, sister? Are you back? There ain't no everyone. It's just me. I had someone, but I told them they probably have to subscribe if it maybe Candi. A tard. I worked hard today. I don't like working that hard. Well, I figured you'd be back if I could keep you out of bed. You're like me. You go to bed too early. Oh. Keep yawning and we'll both be asleep. Surprised Nina's not back on here already. It'd be all right. Told her I would do it. Yesterday, I tried 3 different times to read it on Facebook in her group. 30 seconds to a minute into it, freeze up every time. Pissed me off. I was a cussing up blue streak. Man, there's traffic on this road. This is back to normal. I mean, it's not like we're being told to stay at home and social distance. Yeah, I'm glad I switched to, but I am going to look into. I'm going to talk to Jackie, and she's going to help me get a website set up, I think. And I want to see if I can do the live reads from there. If not, I'll continue doing them here and then post them on there. But really hope I can just do them there. I may never leave there then. My neighbors, they keep that road, their driveway hot over there. They are gone all the time. Yes, Facebook absolutely, positively hates me. And I'm getting to where I hate it. I went off of it for about a year one time. I slowly, gradually got back on it. Well, I guess you are going to be the only one that gets to see it. So then I'll just post it over in her page. So the book is called Twisted Time. It's book 3 in the Killing Chronicles. And if you haven't seen the cover, it's a gorgeous cover. I don't know how well you can tell, but her eyes are emerald green. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. So, keep this here in case somebody texts me. All right. Prologue. Unknown, Oklahoma, current day-ish. I know, the cover is absolutely gorgeous. Where's Cord? Ray Masterson, Cord's mother, closed the gap between them and engulfed Emma in a hug. Though his mom only came to her shoulders, her warm embrace made her feel safe, the way only a mother's love could. Touched, she blinked back tears, at the same time realizing something must be wrong. She saw it in the woman's gentle blue eyes just before they embraced. What's wrong? The story isn't a short one. Let's get inside where it's warm. Emma shook her head, dread building with each step. She longed for the comfort of her own home for weeks, a home I've needed for most of my life, but that's a story for another time. Chapter 1. The next few weeks dragged by, the medical team working around the clock to try and help Cord regain consciousness. Nothing they did worked, and the doctors had no real explanations. His physical wounds had long since healed. Of course, things like that happen when you're a shifter. She learned an enormous amount of information since coming home from the hospital. Starting with the entire Masterson family were shifters, lions to be exact. Then they hit her with this law, this stupid, archaic law that stated Cord had to get permission before telling anyone outside of the lion community. There were a few emergency clauses. Most of them had to be with other known paranormals. For example, they frequently met other shifters at moots. Line law. You may not reveal yourself to another non-shifter, non-lion shifter. Exceptions. People who are well known within the moot community. True emergencies to be determined by the council after the fact. Punishable by death if broken. All others must receive approval save one. You get a once in a lifetime get out of death free card. Oh, about time. Cord used his card to tell Chandler to save her life when Kobe kidnapped her. Vampires, werewolves, fairies, ghosts, and witches were real. Yes, witches were real. She didn't yet know the extent of her witch's powers, though she'd always felt different somehow. The reality of it, of being a part of the paranormal community, would take some time to adapt. Beyond frustrated with the lack of results, she left his side, deciding to go home. After some much-needed rest, she would use the information Chandler gave her to get on. The Paraweb, an underground version of the web for all things paranormal. He gave her his sign-in credentials, allowing her to use it until she could get her own. Some guy from some community would be verifying her preternatural abilities next week. After that, they would assign her a user ID and password of her own. She had no idea who would be confirming it. Chandler couldn't tell her more. So many secrets, many in place to protect the paranormal world. Too tired to drive herself, she took an Uber from the hospital. The front door opened the moment the driver pulled away, and a small, dark flash of fur bunny bounced to her. Emma couldn't help smiling when she saw Luna running to her. Only her run resembled a bunny's hop with a little bounce to it. Bending down, she picked her up. Normally, Luna traveled with her. However, due to the predatory nature of shifters, non paranormal animals were often discouraged from entering the premises. She sorely missed the little furball. Luna won her heart the moment Cord placed the tiny dark ball of fuzz in her hands last fall. The best they could figure, she was a miniature schnauzer mix. Her deep chocolate fur lay in deep waves, giving her a soft, fluffy appearance. She felt safe and loved anytime the pup was nearby. In 2 months, Luna would complete her training for Emma's PTSD. Once she graduated, she'd officially be a service animal. The housekeeper opened the door for them as they approached. Good to see you, Miss Blackwell. Shall I make you something to eat? Yes, please. I'll be in the office. She needed to take a shower, but that could wait. Sitting in the office chair, she flicked on the power for the computer, keeping Luna snuggled in her lap. The screen blinked to life, showing a picture of Cord and Chandler. She took it at the apartment in Tulsa, the last time she saw Cord unharmed. Hot, salty tears stung her eyes before sliding down her face. Her heart ached with unspoken words. Things she'd never got the chance to say to the man who saved her life since the day he put out her small kitchen fire. The memory of his strong arms and twinkling blue eyes caused a smile to tug at the corners of her mouth. Cord could be frustrating, especially when he pulled back from her. Emma understood his girls came first, yet it still wounded her heart when he withdrew from her. Her phone dinged, pulling her out of her thoughts. Probably a text from Chandler. She typed unexplained paranormal illness experts into the search bar and hit enter before checking the message. How's my girl? Any changes? She quickly replied. Chandler, her other sweetheart, was a deputy with the Stillwater Sheriff's Department. He picked up extra shifts since Cord, the town sheriff, was currently out of commission. Tired, no change. I'm at the house for a few hours. I'm going to do the research we talked about. She hit send before looking at the search results. Emma right-clicked several tabs before looking at the first one. The first page wanted money up front before giving any information. She closed that one, opening the next. By the time she scanned 20 websites, Chandler still hadn't answered. He must have gotten a call. 40 minutes later, Mrs. Beasley brought her a feast. The handsome woman turned 55 a few weeks ago. Her blonde hair, untouched by gray, was pulled back in a loose bun. Her warm dark eyes were the color of freshly turned soil and full of warmth. She carried a large tray with several plates on it. She smiled at Emma, setting it down in front of her. I made a few different things. I know hospital food is horrible. The food at the paranormal hospital did indeed suck, and as a result, Emma rarely ate more than what she needed to keep going. Oh, got people on here that can't comment. Dang it. She hadn't enjoyed a satisfying meal in weeks. In the center of the tray sat a steaming bowl of split pea soup surrounded by a tomato tart, a side of corned beef hash with a sunny side up egg, and a savory biscuit. A glass of ice water with a slice of lemon and lime was set off to one side. This looks so good. I don't even know where to tuck it in. To tuck in. Eat. I'll check in later. Why don't I take Luna for a walk? I'll bring her right back. Thank you. Of course, dear. Emma ate while she watched for answers on the paraweb. There had to be someone somewhere that could help Cord. There's no way she was going to lose him now. She'd barely touched her food by the time Mrs. Beasley brought Luna back. Snuggling the pup up in her lap, she finally dug into the delicious meal. A few hours later, the dear woman brought her a slice of Victoria sponge with blackberry curd. I'm turning in for the night. Ring me if you need me. Ring me if you need me. Thank you, Mrs. Beasley. Good night. Hours later, her eyes blurry, she found a form to post in. After she hit enter, she finished the last bite of sponge and got up to stretch her legs and take Luna on another walk. Pinpricks of energy ran along her skin as she stepped out into the moonlit night. Golden stars sparkled against the midnight blue sky. The pale yellow moon offered little light as they traversed the path behind the house. She'd been out here several times, but never during the witching hour. The hairs on the back of her neck stood on end as she walked into a cold spot. The cold, along with a sudden sense of foreboding, caused her to freeze momentarily. Luna's loud, sharp bark set her feet moving away from the area and back toward the house. The pup continued to bark and growl until they were safely inside the house. Seconds after she locked the door, a loud thump hit the side of the house. Whatever chased them, she didn't turn back to look, bounced off her wards with a thud and a growl. Emma slid to the floor, shaking, clutching Luna to her tightly. Tears streamed down her face, grateful the wards held against the unknown attacker. Chandler's coven warded her house shortly after she purchased it. The sweet man continually surprised her with his thoughtfulness. Hands still shaking, she searched for her phone, finally realizing she'd left it in the office by the computer. Keeping low, she moved from the kitchen into the hall. She slowly stood up, listening to see if it was still out there. After several minutes of silence, she made her way to the office. She found her phone and set off a quick text to Chandler, then turned on the computer to check her email. A notification of response from the forums caught her eye. Emma clicked the link and headed to the forums. Meet me at Granny's at 6. I'll find you. Her heart raced. This was possibly someone with an answer. Though she wished she had more information on the person she'd be meeting. She checked her phone. No response. He must be sleeping. With just enough time to get in 2 hours of sleep, she scooped up Luna and headed up the stairs. Not bothering to undress, she set the alarm and fell exhausted into bed. Chapter 2. Bleary-eyed when the alarm went off, she took a quick shower, threw on casual clothes, and headed to Granny's. She chose a quiet, unoccupied corner and ordered coffee for her, and a scrambled egg for Luna. Shortly after her coffee arrived, a woman with a striking resemblance to her mother came over to the table. Emma? Yes? The woman pulled out a chair and sat down. I can help you, but you have to trust me. I don't even know your name. Her full red lips turned into a genuine smile. She offered her hand. I'm Evanora Stanhope, a professor at OSU and a witch. I can't say too much in public, but I can meet you at St. Agnes this afternoon after my class. Say around 3? Okay. She watched as the woman got up and left the restaurant. Feeling a little shell-shocked, Emma didn't see Chandler come in and walk toward her. He leaned down, kissing her softly. Chandler. She stood up, throwing her arms around him and pulling him into a hug. I've missed you. He sat down beside her in the booth, draping his arms around her. Are you all right? I have a call in with the coven. I'd like to have them go over the property to see what they can find. Thank you. You're welcome, but I'm staying with you on the nights you're not at the hospital. You take such loving care of me, she snuggled into him. Do you know a woman named Evanora Stanhope? I've heard of her. She's a professor at the university and a witch. I met her this morning. She says she knows how to help Cord. She wants to meet at the hospital after her last class. I'll come with you. You look tired. How about we get you home and you can take a nap? Grateful for his suggestion, she took Luna's eggs to go, paid the bill, and left a generous tip. I'm parked out front. Chandler smiled as she slid out of the booth into Luna before offering his hand to help her rise. I already stowed my gear. Good thing my girlfriend gave me an extra key. She smiled, standing on her tiptoes and bringing one arm around his neck to bring his head down for a sweet kiss. They were, after all, in public, and people with families would not appreciate a makeout session after breakfast. Her amazing boyfriend, well, one of them, stood above 6.5 feet in height. Before you added the thick sole of his shit kickers. A smile spread across her face when she glanced down at his shoes. Chandler, an avid bike fan, had on well-worn, thick-soled black leather boots. He promised to take her riding on his Harley as soon as they had a day above 60. He didn't want her to get too cold on their first ride together. His large hand felt warm as it rested in the small of her back, gently guiding her through the restaurant into the SUV. Once there, he opened the door and helped her into the passenger seat before settling into the driver's seat. She relaxed into the seat, snuggling Luna on her lap. Asleep before they left Main Street, Emma woke in Chandler's arms as he carried her into the house. The pup was still wrapped in her arms. Mrs. Beasley must have seen them coming. The door opened as they stepped onto the porch. She heard him thank the housekeeper before she nodded back off, awakening again as he undressed her to put her to bed. Oh, okay. My neighbor's got his flashlight out. I was like, what is that light? She managed to murmur, "Stay with me," before she fell asleep. Her body settled into a deep slumber once Chandler joined her, wrapping his arms around her and pulling her into him. "Emma, it's time to wake up." Gentle lips brushed her cheek. Emma opened her eyes, a smile curving her lips. Her breath caught for a moment as she noticed the love in his eyes. His long hair framed his face. Those piercing blue eyes said so much. She raised her head and met his lips with hers. The kiss was slow and sweet. If they had more time, she would have made it so much more. He was so busy lately, and she missed his touch. "Mrs. Beasley packed some food. We can eat it along the way," he said. "Why are you so good to me?" He kissed the tip of her nose. "You're worth it. Now, are you going naked or getting dressed?" She laughed, getting out of bed before dressing in warm clothes, an ivory sweater, jeans, and boots. Her long hair pulled back into a single braid. Emma didn't bother with makeup. On impulse, she hugged the housekeeper on the way out. "Thank you for taking such diligent care of me and Luna." The older woman laughed. "I'd say it's my job, but I enjoy it." Emma kissed the pup softly. "I'll miss you, but you can't go with me today." Warm tears ran down her face as she handed the bundle of love back to the housekeeper. The first several minutes of the bride passed in silence. Chandler held her hand while she cried softly. Knowing she needed to eat, she unpacked the lunch. Roast beef sandwiches with sharp cheddar, lettuce, tomato, and horseradish mayo on home-baked, thick sliced bread. She dug in with gusto, leaving conversation until they were both finished eating. "Do you know anything else about Evanora?" Chandler shook his head. "Not really. I'd say she's trustworthy because she's on staff, but we both know that's not true considering they hired a serial killer a few years ago." A chill went down Emma's spine as she remembered all too well being at the killer's mercy. Cord and Chandler both risked their lives to save her that day. Emma reached over, taking his hand. "I survived him thanks to you." "Wasn't just me, darling, but I'd do it all over again if I needed to." "I just hope she can actually help us and bring Cord back. We all need him." His thumb ran across the back of her hand in a comforting motion. "We do. I don't think she would have contacted you if she didn't think she could." "True. Thank you." "For what?" he chuckled. "For being you. for always being there for me. The last she added quietly, for the way you looked at me earlier. He squeezed her hand. Caught that, huh? Let's talk about it after we find out about Cord, unless you want to do it now. She formed the words carefully around the large lump in her throat. Later would be all right. 20 minutes later, Chandler pulled the SUV into the underground garage of what looked to be a regular office building. Lord. Let's see what they're doing now. Once inside, they headed toward Kordes Room. Emma entered the private waiting area outside his room, surprised to find Evanora already there, sitting with Ray and Hollis Masterson, Cord's parents. The woman's resemblance to her mother once again struck her. If they stood side by side, they could have easily been sisters. Evanora's hair was darker, her skin lighter, but the woman's golden brown eyes were eerily similar, as were her face shape and build. Cord's parents crossed the room, enveloping her in warm hugs before doing the same to Chandler. Did you get some rest? Ray Masterson asked. Evanora introduced herself and told us she has an idea that might save Cord. I did get some rest, thank you. Once everyone settled in, Evanora began outlining her plan. I've been doing some extensive research for the last 2 decades on what I believe to be a time divergence. A portal to the divergence is located on your land, Emma. I believe the beast that attacked Cord is related to an incident that took place in 1875. A man named Jacques Beaufort made a deal with the devil to unleash a plague that would kill all non-paranormals. The devil gave him the power to twist natural creatures. Marshal Jim Masterson eventually guns Jacques down. Temporal magic from Beaufort's efforts, however, already did some damage, allowing the beast he created to hibernate. I believe the only way to save Cord is to go back and stop Beaufort from creating the creatures in the first place. How do you propose we go back? Like a time travel spell? Evanora shook her head. I have a potion that would get us back there. It's over 500 years old, originally from Merlin. It's taken me 18 years to put it together. I have enough for 2 people. I'd like to be one of them, and I believe you, Emma, should be the other person to take the potion. And that's the end of chapter 2. This book is good, but you have to go back and read the first 2 books to catch on to some of the stuff. I think it can be read as a standalone, but yeah, I think it's best to go back and read the first 2. And it's called The Killer Chronicles. So, Candi, thank you so much for letting me read this tonight. I appreciate it. For those that couldn't comment, my apologies. That's the one downfall about oh, there you are. That's the one downfall of YouTube, is if you're not subscribed to my channel, that it won't let you comment. So but other than that, once you get that done, then it's usually good to go. So I don't usually have any problems on here like I did the other night with Facebook. Facebook just hates me. So, all right, Miss Candi, Nina will get this posted on your in your group. So, or you're welcome to scroll up and get you a copy of the link, whatever. And thank you for letting me read it. I appreciate it. $1 short today, late as usual. It depends on what device you're on. So it's hard to find the chat sometimes. So, all righty, everybody. You guys have a great evening. And just a little, let me look it up right quick. because I can. Just a little, I got Miss Candi coming up on, where are you at, Miss Candi? I saw it in here when I was writing this stuff out. I will be reading your Samantha James. Is it August? Yes. No, July 30th. I'll be reading Samantha James July 30th. So all you Candi fans, come on back July 30th and watch me read hers. All right. You guys have a great evening and happy reading.